All right. I guess I'm back again. I'm sorry. I got cut off here. I don't know what happened. I somehow lost internet connection. That's really weird because I've never ever seen it happen with this computer. But of course, because I was trying to stream and do something low budget, of course I get screwed over with the goddamn budget, right? Only my luck. But I was before I was so rudely interrupted by my shitty internet. I was discussing a little talked about, little known episode of Tales from the Dark Side, simply entitled Levitation. And Levitation tells the story of these two friends, and they're trying to. One of them is huge on magicians, and the magician in this episode, they go to this like kind of carnival thing because he's this long, like super famous magician. He's just doing like a spot show, and basically this one guy is like, oh man, he's the most legendary magician ever, and the magician is actually played by none other than Mr. Joe Turkel, the legendary Joe Turkel, who was a longtime Stanley Kubrick character actor. He's Lloyd from The Shining, the bartender. What'll it be, sir? Like, that's Joe Turkel, which is badass. So he's in this actually, and gives a very, very good performance, I thought. And basically they're watching his show, and the one that is there to see him, that is excited to see him, is really unpleased with his performance because he's doing all sorts of normal magician tricks and tropes and stuff like that. So he's doing, the bunny in the hat gag. He's doing all these like BS gags that our lead character doesn't want to see. And it's after the show, and this guy goes up to Joe Turkel and he's like, "How could you, man? Like, you're one of the greatest ever. I drove 7 hours I drove miles to see you here tonight, and this is the BS you give me? Like, you're a fraud." And he goes, "I'm not a fraud." He goes, "Listen," he goes, "the last time I tried to do my most famous trick, I lost somebody so close to me. I don't want to ever do it again." And he's like, "Listen, man, you're the best that ever was, man." He's like, "You've actually pulled off a levitation trick. You've made someone levitate." And Joe Turkel's like, "I can never do it again. It's just, you have to let it go. Please let it go." And basically, it's like the last show of the night, and the guy comes back because he can't let it go. He drove all these hours and miles to see his idol, and his idol let him down because he's just another magician. And he basically starts taunting Joe Turkel from the crowd. He's like, "I know how you do this trick. You're gonna you have rope up your sleeve, and the bunny's already in this hat, and the lever's gonna pull." And he's just bashing him during the act. And slowly but surely, you see Joe Turkel get pissed off, man. He gets so damn mad. And like, you slowly, and it's not even a facial expression. It's just what Joe Turkel does with his eyes, just like the death eyes, just one of those. And like, I was scared shitless by it, man. Like, I loved Joe Turkel's performance in this episode. I thought he was so damn scary. Um, and basically he says, "You know what?" He says, "I need a guest for my next trick." And he says, "How about you?" And the guy gets on the stage, and he decides to do the levitation trick on this guy that keeps heckling him. And I'll leave it at that, but it does not end well for the Mr. Heckler guy. I really love this episode of Tales from the Dark Side. I would say this is probably the most underrated one. Just because I've never heard it talked about, and I thought it was uber scary. I thought Joe Turkel did a quite a good job in this episode, and I thought actually the effect of the levitating was actually really good. Like, I thought it looked pretty damn real, and I thought it was an ending where I was super satisfied. I was like, this guy got his just desserts, and it was scary, and the performances are really good, and the atmosphere, even in the carnival, I thought added so much to the atmosphere of this episode. I thought this was a really, really good Tales from the Dark Side episode. Definitely give that one a watch. And then, of course, you have some more like really stupid, hokey ones like Love Hungry. That's the one where this woman she's just this fat woman. She's unsatisfied with her life, stuff like that. And she basically goes crazy because she orders this diet, right? And she wants to lose weight. And basically, the diet she orders is all the food starts talking to her and yelling at her and taunting her. And what they do is they put these like little like eyes and mouth on these like fruits and stuff. Like, there's a banana with a face, and it's like, "Don't eat me, you fat bitch." Like, It's one of the funniest things you'll ever watch, man. Like, just see this banana taunt this woman, like, "You're trying to lose weight, bitch. Don't you wanna get on a date? Don't you wanna have a satisfactory dating life and stuff?" And, like, it's just all the shit this woman goes through to lose weight and, like, this food just taunting her and stuff like that. I thought that was a really, really fun little episode, man. I really, really love that one. And again, like even as hokey as that is, it's the horrors of losing weight. There are a lot of people that struggle with being fat. And like I thought on that aspect, this was a goofy take on it, but this is the shit some people go to, like they just literally they'd rather have their food curse them out and call them fat than be fat. And like I thought that was so damn clever, man, and so entertaining. Like that's an entertaining one to see Fruit yelling at this fat lady. That's just funny as hell. Like I don't know who wrote or directed that one, but they get the grande stamp of approval from me. That's fucking hilarious. Like whoever thought of that is a goddamn genius. I'm trying to see here some more that I could talk about. I was trying to save this other one just for last. Yeah, there's a couple more on here I'd like to talk about. There's one on here called The Circus, which George Romero actually wrote the script for. And basically, it's about this guy that he's traveled town to town and he's heard all these legends and all these myths of this circus that would travel to small towns and stay just for one night. Like they would stay for one night and just never be heard from again. And he's like, this is the circus tonight you're performing. I want to know, why do you guys do it this way? And you're not turning much of a profit. And he wants to know more than he can get. And this Lee guy's like, listen, just I think it's best you stay away. I think it's best you stay away. And this guy just can't take the hint. He can't just be like, listen, I understand. I'm crossing the line here, but he can't help himself. And so he keeps pushing forward and basically finds out that there are some crazy backcrap creatures in the circus that the effects are so well done. Like some of the creatures in this, like there's a creature they feed him like a rabbit and he like devours this rat and all the blood. This creature is scary. It is something out of a nightmare. It is such a good practical monster. I almost wish they had done a sequel where that was, like a stalk and slash sequel with that monster going after people because it is such a it's such a damn scary effect, man. It scared the bejesus out of me. And then I just really like the whole tone and atmosphere of it. Like I thought it was going to be like this glorified like circus, you know what I mean? And like you really don't get that with this one. You really get more just the creep factor of some of the people that work there and some of the creatures that they are holding. Just scared me to death. I thought it was a really scary little episode. Of course, there's the one "Do Not Open This Box," which is actually directed probably the most shocking thing of the series that directing wise. They got Jodie Foster to direct an episode of this, and it's called "Do Not Open This Box." Yes, Clarice Starling herself. And I think Jodie Foster's a great actress. I want to just preface this by saying, the episode she directs is kind of weird. Like, it's a highly rated episode, but like I don't even know if the episode is that good other than the fact that it's just like Jodie Foster directed Tales from the Darkside. How cool is that? And I feel like that's really the main gimmick to watch it. Just be like Jodie Foster was in the room when they were filming this. It's kind of cool. It's basically about this old couple, and the husband's like an inventor, and he basically gets this package in the mail, and it says, "Do not open this box," the little box, and it's very similar to the Button Button, the old story written by oh god, what the, not yeah. Is it Beaumont? I think it's Beaumont. Yeah, Charles Beaumont, I believe, wrote the story, or it might have been Matheson. No, actually, it was Matheson. It was Richard Matheson wrote that story. They get the box and says, "Do not open this box." And of course, his wife opens the box the minute they get it, and she's like, "There's nothing in it," throws it in the trash. And the next day, this guy from the mail package place is like, "Listen, I accidentally delivered the wrong package to your house. Can I please have it back?" and the wife basically is like, listen, you want us to give you the box back, you're going to have to compensate. And basically, he's compensating, giving her all this money. She's going out buying all these luxurious things and stuff like that. And basically, she doesn't keep up her end of the bargain. She keeps wanting more money, asking for more money, and refusing to give the box back. And by the time she decides to give the box back, it's kind of too late. And I don't know, like, it's not the greatest episode. It's not horrible. It's definitely like not one of the worst ones. I could talk about some bad ones if you guys want. Yeah, I just think it's crazy that Jodie Foster directed it. Like, it's just weird. It ends up involving like souls. Like, there was a soul in the box, and now he wants her soul in the box. And it's a dark ending. I won't lie. Like, it's a weird little ending where the package man ends up being like not a package man, and it's backcrap crazy. Like, I didn't expect it to end the way it ended. Um, let me talk about a couple of really bad ones, and then I can get into my favorite Tales from the Dark Side episode. Again, there's tons of these that are average, middle of the road, but when you get to bad ones, they are fucking bad. Um, a perfect example. It's not technically the pilot. The pilot episode is good, Trick or Treat, but technically, the first official episode of Tales from the Dark Side, season 1, episode 1, is called The New Man. And it is a piece of shit. Like, it's one of the worst episodes of TV you'll ever watch. Um, it basically involves Vic Morrow. And Vic Morrow is working in the office, and like randomly one day, this little kid comes to his office and is like, "Hey, Dad, what are we doing for dinner tonight or whatever?" And basically, the guy's like, "You're not my son. I don't have a son. What are you talking about?" And you learn throughout the episode that Vic Morrow used to be an alcoholic, and you're as the viewer, you're posed the question, is this, him dealing with alcoholism, or is this, this kid trying to scam him? Who sent this kid? But everybody's against Vic Morrow, including his wife, including his friends, including anybody and everybody that would love him. So you're like, okay, so it's not the alcoholism, it has to be the kid, right? And then it has the most bullshit ending where Vic Morrow basically, it doesn't end well for Vic Morrow, I will say that. And the kid shows up at some other random guy's work and is like, "Hey, Dad." And I was just like, "What the fuck? Like, what was the point of that? Like, what? Like, did I miss something?" Apparently, I've looked this up. Apparently, people that have watched this show debate over this. Like, some say it's the alcoholism, some say it was a scam. I'm guessing it was a scam because at the end of the episode, it looks like they're trying to scam someone else. But if that's the case, why go into the alcoholism angle? And why go that far? And why the fuck would his wife, his friends, everybody that he ever, was with be against him? Like, it made no sense. I was just like, God damn, like, this is a bullshit ending to an episode that had potential. I thought it would have been really cool if, yeah, it was the alcoholism that drove him to the brink of madness. And because alcoholism is a real terrifying thing. Like, I thought that would be a cool way to take it, but instead, no, we're gonna take it the direction of, we're gonna be ambiguous with this ending, and it's bullshit. Like, don't watch that one. Like, what I just told you is the episode, and it's bad. It's really bad. There's one with fucking Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and he plays Genie. It's fucking terrible. Like, I don't understand why they spent actual money to make that one. It's so bad. Like, and of all fucking people, why'd you get Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? Like why? Like, I just thought it was such a goddamn strange little episode. There's a really, I mean, a really shitty one called The Bitterest Pill. And it's this family that basically they win the lottery in like the first 5 minutes of the episode. They win the lottery, and I'm like, oh, okay, is this going to be one of those episodes about greed and how greed gets the better of people and the horrors of greed, right? Like classic Twilight Zone episode, The Fever. That's a classic Twilight Zone episode about greed. And by the way, happy 60th anniversary. Today is the 60th anniversary of the Twilight Zone. Another show that I watch all the time around this time of year, and I've done a full episode on it on Facebook. I've been meaning to upload it on here. I will eventually for sure. I did that episode with my good buddy Mark. Shout out to Mark, really really good friend of mine. But yeah, The Bitterest Pill. They win the lottery, right? And it's basically just like bullshit from there on out between them and their kid. They're basically mean to their kid, and they have this random guy come into their house and's like, "Oh, I'm trying to start this business. All I need is all your money to start this business." And you would think it'd be, a quick little scene. It goes on for like 15 minutes of this 22-minute episode it's these people arguing over whether he should buy this guy's business out and like try to invest in this. It's so bad. I was just like, "What the fuck is the point of this, man?" Like, I was just like, "Why?" Like, you could have done so much with this. And the hence the title, it ends up being their kid writes a book called The Bitterest Pill, and he leaves them, and they're broke, and that's the big I was just like, "What the hell, man?" Like, I don't know. I thought it was just blasphemy how bad it was. There's actually the only thing of merit in the episode is uh, when they win the lottery, the wife randomly goes, "I'm gonna buy a fur coat so I can wear it in the frozen food section." I thought that was some of the funniest shit. Like I was at work. I remember this is like in the morning, and I was just watching it like on the side, and like when she said that line, I burst out laughing. I was like, "What the fuck? Like who says that?" Like I can't wait to buy a fur coat so I can wear it in the fucking cold, frozen food section. I was just like, "Yo, like whoever wrote that was on so much cocaine, it's not even funny." There's another one, another really bad one that had a lot of potential. I thought this was going to be a great episode. And like if there was ever a episode that I would love to see made into a live action movie, from this series that of an episode that was a complete and total fucking failure, in my opinion, is called "It All Comes Out in the Wash." It All Comes Out in the Wash is basically the opening scene is the only good thing in the episode. I'll warn you there. Basically, this guy, he's sick of all like these nasty people he works with, and just anybody and everybody he's tired of in life. He wants rid of them, kind of, and he goes to this little like Chinese cleaners place. And this guy tells him, he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I hear you do special services." And the guy's like, "Oh, I don't know what you mean." He's trying to dance around the question. And he goes, "Listen, I know you kill people that I or others would want to be killed. Like if I pay you a certain amount of money, it all comes out in the wash. You'll kill them, no strings attached. I'll be off of it and you'll be off of it, and I'll get that person out of my life for the certain price." So I was like, "That's badass." Like I pay you this. It's basically like hiring a hitman, but instead it's this cleaner's place where it all comes out in the wash. You'll never get your clothes cleaner, your hands cleaner. Even though the obvious metaphor of the blood's on his hands, the dirty hands. He can't get his hands dirty if it all comes out in the wash, right? I thought that was a genius concept. I was like, "Yo, like that's fucking smart." The rest of the episode is just the guy sitting in his office on the phone with people, bashing them. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna get what you deserve." It's 20 fucking minutes of this guy bitching to people on the phone. It's horrible. I'm like, "Yo, what?" Like, why couldn't I have seen this agency, like, killing off the people that he wanted? And maybe he starts to regret it and feels guilt over it, and it's eating him alive, and he asks them to stop, but once it starts, it can never stop. Like, it fucking writes itself. Instead, they thought it would be more interesting for this guy to sit in his fucking office and bash people over the fucking telephone. I was just sitting there just being like, "Really? Like, why?" Like, with that good of a concept, it's blasphemy to me that they fucking decided to go that route. I don't know. I just think it's absolute blasphemy. I guess I'll talk about one more bad one on here. This one I thought was actually really funny at how bad it was. It's called no, I'm sorry. It's called Fear of Floating. And it's freaking Howard Sherman from Day of the Dead. Yes, that's right. Bub from Day of the Dead. And he comes in and he's got weights on his feet, and he comes into this like weird like military agency, and he's like, "Listen, you guys got to hide me. People are after me." And they're like, "Why are they after you?" He goes, "Well, it's because I can float." And they're like, "What do you mean you can float?" And he's like, "I can float." And he takes his shoes off and he starts floating. This there's no goddamn reason to it. Like there's no point, there's no purpose. It's just and from there it's like 20 minutes of why these people are chasing him. "Oh, he had sex with my 17-year-old daughter and I want to kill him." And the daughter wants to run away with him. And then you learn at the end of the episode that he's a sexual predator, and the military people take his weights off and let him fly up into the fans, and it ends. And like it was just like, dude, like I wouldn't let my worst enemy watch that. Like it was just fucking stupid, man. Like it was funny and it was weird to see Howard Sherman in a role like that, especially. I thought it had its moments, but it was just like so bad it was kind of funny at the same time. Um, but that, I guess, with that, I'll get to, a lot of other favorites of the series. I'll just go all over them. Inside the Closet's another episode Savini directed. People love that one. That's like a lot of people's favorite. The Black Cuddy Sow. It's the story of this like witch that their grandmother dies, and basically this kid is afraid that a witch is going to come back and kill him and his family. That's a good one. The Odds is a really, really good one with oh god, what's his fucking name? I can't think of his name. Well, he went on to be in a bunch of stuff. I can't think of his damn name, but this guy beyond the dead comes and is like, you're scheduled to die tonight at midnight. And he's like, I bet you I won't. And they bet over who's going to be right, and that's a really good one. A lot of dialogue, but it's really, really good. Um, that's a really good one. And I guess that will bring me to my favorite episode of this show. And without further ado, it is the third and final one Tom Savini directed. And again, once again, I'm glad Savini's coming back to do the tale of the new Creepshow series. I think that's really cool of Savini, because Savini's just one of the best to ever be in the genre, really. But of all the things Tom Savini's ever done, from directing standpoint, I know we did Night of the Living Dead 90, did a few episodes of this. Um, Not too much else, unfortunately. And I can't wait for the new, like I said, I can't wait for his episode of Creepshow. I don't know which one it is, but I'm very much looking forward to it. It's called Family Reunion, though. The episode of Tales from the Darkside did. It's actually starring Patricia Tallman, who went on to be Barbara in the Night of the Living Dead remake, which I thought was really, really cool. And it basically tells the story of this family and the mother and father. You basically get the message that the mother and father are at odds about who has custody of the child, and the child is just, he's locked up in this room, and you're thinking the whole time like, oh man, this father's a real piece of shit. Like he's locking up his own son, he's keeping the mother away. It's human instinct to side with the mother, I think. Like I might be alone in that, but like for me, the first time I watched this episode, I was like, I side with the mother here. She just wants her kid back, and she's going through all this trouble. She's like going to agencies, please help me get my son back, I love him, he's mine. And the father keeps saying to the agencies, he's like, listen, like, we got into a hunting accident years ago, and let's just say my wife and kid have never been the same since. And it basically escalates to this bat crap crazy finale. And I don't know, I really want to spoil it, because the spoil is the reason I love the episode so much. All right, so if you haven't seen this one, you have my full permission to turn me out, because I'm going to spoil it. I love the ending of this episode. I think it was just so damn well done. The effects especially. Basically, you find out that the hunting accident they were in involved a werewolf attack, and both the mother and the son were attacked by a werewolf, and in essence they're both werewolves. And the father is holding the son captive because he's a werewolf, and every night you hear these reports of he's killing people, he's getting out of the room, and the father's shackling up his son in the bedroom. And like, that's some dark shit. Like, and he brings him like roast beef and gravy, and he's like, how do you like it, son? He's like, oh man, I like it raw, I like it rare. I just thought that was a riot, man. Like, especially rewatching it this time, knowing the twist, I was like, oh, that's fucking clever, and Patricia Tallman does all she can to get her son back. And the transformation scene at the end where they turn into werewolves, the mother and son, are like some of the best werewolf practical makeup effects I've ever seen. Like they are so good. Like, okay, is it as cool as a transformation scene, like the quote unquote transformation scene from American Werewolf in London? Probably not. But I would say, like, I'd probably put it over shit like Wolfen and The Howling, and well, those movies aren't shit, but I mean, like stuff like that. Like, I would say the effects, like the snouts, and it looks like Patricia Tallman as a werewolf. Like, it's so well done. You would be totally convinced it was just her. It was her not wearing latex. It was just her turning into a fucking werewolf. And that scared me, man. I was terrified by that. And I thought man, like this is why I love that show. Like it's Savini's directing, doing this atmosphere, and it's a good story about the battle of two parents, and then the little horrific twist of they're not fighting over the love of they are fighting over the love of their son, but their son's also a vampire. Not a vampire, I'm sorry. Their son's also a werewolf, as is the mother. I thought that was an awesome twist. And that's probably my favorite episode of Tales from the Dark Side, just because it has a little bit of everything. It has a little bit of the dramatic element in there. It has a little bit of the horror element in there. It has great practical makeup effects, a good story, good acting, and a good twist. I think it's anything and everything a good anthology episode of Tales from the Dark Side should be. And that's why it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, and I won't lie, like I said, there I've listed off. I must have talked about 20 to 30 episodes on this fucking like, well, I guess on the two parts combined, right? I must have talked about a few episodes on this, and like, you know, there are some bad ones. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna say, it's not like the Twilight Zone where they're pretty much all good. There are some bad ones with this. I'm not gonna lie, but the good ones almost always are great and they always deliver. And I really enjoy this show for that reason. So I've been watching these. I haven't watched them all yet. Like there are definitely some bad ones I have to get to, I guess. I think I covered most of the good ones. If there are any more good ones that surprise me, I'll definitely be sure to mention them on future episodes of the Graveyard. But that is Tales from the Dark Side. I just love this show. Can't wait to keep watching more of it. Of course, last year I watched this bad boy. This is like a thing I do now. Like every October, I try to pick a show, like a classic horror show, and watch it. And last October, I watched all 13 of the original first season Masters of Horror episodes. This is another just a fucking great show. I'll definitely be watching some of these. Like Pick Me Up, I thought was great. Jennifer, I thought is great. Dear Woman is great. Incident on Off Mountain Road. Imprint from Takashi Miike, The Fair Haired Child, my favorite one, Cigarette Burns, the Carpenter one, like literally like 11 out of the 13 of these are badass. Like I love this show. That's basically like the past 2 years, the big anthology ones I've been watching. But I've also been watching Adam's Family. The original series is on Amazon Prime. Love the Adams Family. Can't get enough of Wednesday Adams. Just in the classic one-liners, stuff like that. I've been watching Monsters, as I mentioned on the last episode, or the first part of this episode, I guess, which was the spin-off series to this. Richard P. Rubenstein's Baby is Monsters, and it's basically this, but every episode deals with a different form or type of monster. And I really liked that show, to be honest. Like there are some really good ones of that too. There's one I remember with Ashley Lawrence from Hellraiser, and Tori Spelling, and actually Sasha Jensen from Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, called The Match Game. That was probably my favorite episode of that. That's one I would like to rewatch and give an actual review. It was like this episode where these kids, they go into this house and they play this match game where every time they light a match, they have to tell a scary story. And basically, the scary story they tell comes to life in the house. And I thought it was a badass episode. It was really, really cool. It was very similar like the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie that just came out, only like much more R-rated, I would say. But yeah, I had fun with Monsters, and I've been watching a bunch of Monsters episodes too. But get into some of the movies I'll watch just briefly, like ones I really want to revisit. I already revisited Waxwork. I revisited Waxwork last night, and like I'm thinking on a post show maybe next week, I can do a full out review for Waxwork. Zach Galligan, of course. Oh God, what's her name? The chick from April Fool's Day, Deborah Foreman. Deborah Foreman in that. Anthony Hickox at the director's chair. Really, really enjoy Waxwork, and I'd like to rewatch Waxwork too. I'm looking to rewatch a little movie called Dark Ride, which I really enjoy. It was one of the 8 films to die for years and years ago, and it was like these kids, and they went to this like fun house at night, and it was like super creepy atmospheric. Wasn't the best movie, and I understand like that concept's played out. Like I know Hellfest bombed, which I actually watched today. I watched Hellfest. I thought it was fine. I don't really understand why it bombed, but I think slasher films have just died a cruel death, especially original slasher films. There's like no market for them anymore. If it's not a reboot of Halloween, and if Jason Blumhouse isn't behind it, screwing it up, people aren't going to watch it now, and it's a shame, but that's really the way I think it is. but that's one. Dark Ride, I really wanna rewatch Dark Ride. The Gate is one I really wanna rewatch. Of course, Monster Squad, I'm gonna give a rewatch. I'm thinking I really wanna dip into some more Cronenberg. I've been watching mad Cronenberg lately, but man, like, I wanna rewatch The Brood. I love the fucking Brood. I think I have The Brood. Yeah, I have The Brood right here. This is one I wanna do a full-on review of. Maybe I'll do, like, a Cronenberg episode sometime this month. I fucking love this movie. I think this is one of the scariest movies ever made. I love The Brood. The last 10, 15 minutes of this movie is beyond terrifying and beyond like bone shattering. Like it is terrifying. I think this is a terrifying episode. Um, yeah, I love that one. I'm going to the theater, I think Saturday night to see Fright Night. I'll be rewatching that one. Rabid, I'll be rewatching, and that's another one in the theater. And I believe, I think on the 19th, I want to say, they're showing Halloween 2 on the big screen, 35 millimeter. And I will be first in line to see that. It's my favorite Halloween movie. Michael Myers, Rick Rosenthal, Donald Pleasance, Jamie Lee Curtis, Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, baby. I cannot goddamn wait to see that on 35 millimeter with a goddamn crowd. That's my favorite Halloween movie, and it always has been, always will be. So that seeing that one on the big screen will be really cool. And last one I want to mention on here that I'm definitely going to revisit during the season, and I'm probably all the ones I just mentioned, I'm going to talk about them some point on an episode. It's just because I'm working the Comic Con tomorrow that I can't do my show. That's why I'm not saying it on there. I don't have a full on schedule per se, but these are definitely all ones I'd like to discuss. Um, but the last one I wanted to discuss is actually coming out on Blu-ray. It's only something I really like. Like I've actually never heard another soul say they like this movie. But I'm saving it for Halloween night. I pre-ordered the Blu-ray. I can't fucking wait for it to come out. It's a gem of a movie in my opinion, even though people fucking hate it and will laugh at me when I say what it is. I pre-ordered the Blu-ray of Trilogy of Terror 2. That's right. Not 1, Trilogy of Terror 2. I like part 1 as well. Trilogy of Terror is a fun little movie. Of course, the little killer doll segment with Karen Black, everybody always remembers that. Although I think the first segment in that movie has always been the best with the teacher that she seduces her student and he basically thinks he's getting the better of her, but vice versa. Like, you can't get the better of Karen Black because she's horror scream cream royalty, and we love you, Miss Karen Black. Um, but this was the sequel and actually came out in 1996. And Dan Curtis actually came back to direct Trilogy of Terror Part 2. And I just love the 3 segments. For me, they always like I rewatched it every year, but the fact that it's now coming out on Blu-ray, I'm like, I'm saving that Blu-ray for Halloween night. A big ass bowl of Jiffy Pop, some candy, some soda. Like, I am going to have the greatest movie night that night. And like, I know people are going, that movie of all the movies, man, sometimes it's fun to not watch a classic on Halloween night. Maybe some nights it's fun to watch Night of the Demons 2 on fucking Halloween night. Maybe some nights it's fun to watch The Rage Carry 2. Yeah, I even like The Rage Carry 2. I actually rewatched that one about a week ago. Had a blast with it. I like The Rage Carry 2. Kill me. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm all about watching a fun one on Halloween night, and I have a lot of fun with Trilogy of Terror 2. And the fact that that movie is getting a Blu-ray just blows my mind to oblivion. Like the minute it was announced, I was like, Michael Felcher is a fucking legend, and I love you, Michael Felcher, dude. Like I know he's behind it, um, which makes me be like, yo, maybe Michael Felcher does like this movie. I don't know if there's gonna be any features on it, um, but I can't wait to get that Blu-ray because that's going to be a Halloween night bash party watch for me, and I can't wait to review that on the show. I'll probably review it on the show the Halloween day. I'm probably gonna do a show on Halloween because Halloween does fall on a Thursday. So I may have to watch it again just to refresh my mind. I do watch it yearly, but I do love Trilogy of Terror 2. So I will be getting into that one Halloween night. Can't wait for it. It's gonna be awesome. And there's tons of more stuff I want to get to, of course. Like I was talking to my buddy Brian. It's just the best time of the year. I love October time. It's a good time to be a horror fan. Probably the best month to be a horror fan. And there's definitely tons of stuff I really want to get back to and watch, and stuff that I'd like to see for the first time. And I'm probably going to get into that. I'm probably just going to keep I've been keeping a pretty constant pace with these Tales from the Dark Side, Adam's Family, Monsters, stuff like that. But I'm definitely gonna, like I said, I'm gonna definitely watch some Cronenberg, some Carpenter, some Craven. If it starts with a C and he's an awesome filmmaker, definitely some Argento. I watched Trauma a few weeks ago. I've just been on a roll with it. So I'm just trying to keep it up. And of course, actually, I'll definitely do a review for this. Mother of Tears. I watched this one recently, had a fucking ball with it. I don't get all the negative hate and negativity towards Argento, but I fucking love this movie personally. I thought this was a lot of fun. Um, I'll definitely be rewatching this again this month too, because I thought it was a perfect like atmospheric kind of feel for this time of the year. But yeah, that's probably going to be all for today. I'm sorry for the two parts. I didn't really plan for that. I lost internet connection exactly like a half hour in the other show. But yeah, that is the show for today. That was Tales from the Dark Side, some of my faves. Definitely give these a watch. These are fun to watch around this time of year, and I would dare say that even the bad ones are entertaining in their own right. And let me know if there's some of these episodes that I didn't mention that you really like. I know I didn't mention Case of the Stubborns, which I meant to, but that's a really fun one too. I know Gideon, that's his favorite episode. Shout out to Gid. But yeah, that was Tales from the Dark Side, one of my favorite shows of all time, and I'll be keeping it up. So keep me posted on what you guys are watching. Let me know. Maybe you guys can suggest stuff. I would be all ears to listen. Hopefully, my suggestions and stuff I liked can maybe lead you guys into watching some of these, and hopefully, you guys enjoy. But thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And I'll probably be back sometime next week on the graveyard in the studio with not this bad, lighting and stuff like that. But I will be back next week. But until then, I am the Pajama Pants Player. I am the best in the world. Too sweet, baby. Graveyard is out.